My name's Adam McArthur and I'm from Los Angeles, California. Whenever anyone mentions Shaolin Temple, it brings me back to 8 years ago when I had the opportunity to travel there and I got to see the front gates for the first time, the meditation hall, the training halls, and I even got to perform there with the Shaolin monks. Shaolin Kung Fu means to me strength, speed, power, and living life humbly and always working hard. One of my earliest memories is wanting to train Shaolin Kung Fu. I don't know where it came from, but I always remember asking my parents, please put me in Kung Fu. And it wasn't until I got beat up in 6th grade that they allowed me to start training. I've been practicing Shaolin Kung Fu for 19.5 years. I started when I was 11 years old. Not only do I practice Kung Fu, but I follow the principles of Kung Fu, and it affects all areas of my life. Soon I'll be going to Moscow, where there I'll meet the Abbot and watch 100 of his top monks perform in Red Square. After that, we'll be flying to the Shaolin Temple, where we'll spend over 2 weeks digging deep. I'll be getting to spend time with monks. I'll be getting to spend more time with the Abbot. After that, we'll head to Los Angeles, where the Abbot will join us and oversee a competition held there for competitors all over the US to come and compete against one another. We kicked off our world tour today here in Moscow, where we followed the Abbot down to Red Square. So when I first walked into Red Square, I was awestruck by the sheer size and beauty of the buildings there. And it's all being dressed up right now for the International Military Music Festival, Spasska Tower. You have St. Basil's Cathedral on the south side with these colorful spindles. It's an iconic picture of Russia when you look at it. I was able to follow the Abbot and all the monks on a tour in the Kremlin, which is a lot like taking a tour of the White House in the United States. One of the first buildings I came to in the Kremlin was the Ivan the Great Bell Tower, which for a long time was the tallest view in all of Moscow. Then as I turned the corner, there was these 2 cathedrals, the Assumption Cathedral and the Annunciation Cathedral, that sort of flanked the entrance to the Great Kremlin Palace. Today I had the opportunity to visit the Great Kremlin Palace. I was blown away. Right when we first walked in, there's this beautiful grand staircase that led up to this ginormous painting. All these columns had intricate, detailed gold carvings. I saw a lot of masterful paintings throughout all the rooms. All the colors were really bright and vibrant and elaborate. It felt like I was on an episode of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And really, you could tell, encompassed over 800 years of Russian history. This afternoon we saw a teaser, sort of informal performance by the Shaolin monks. Teaser or not, it was awesome to watch. It's 1:30 p.m. I'm about to watch the Shaolin monks perform for the first time here in Moscow. Let me get out of their way. And then they started flipping, falling on the cobblestone. The monks went through all the animal styles, so we got to see scorpion. We got to see frog. We saw all different kinds of weapons. We saw straight sword, broadsword, double broadsword, chain whip. This performance was awesome, but it was definitely just a taste of what's to come. Later tonight, the monks are going to be performing on an even larger stage, and I really, really can't wait for that. I just finished watching all the performances here at the International Military Music Festival. They were all amazing. They were all military-based music performances. Some of my favorites were Scotland. They came out full kilts with their bagpipes blaring. South Korea had an awesome performance that opened with Gangnam Style.
монастыря Shaolin, Shi Yongxin.
And to top it all off, we ended with an amazing performance from the Shaolin monks. There were monks everywhere, about 100 of them, doing weapons, empty hand forms, flying all over the place. Everyone in the audience was cheering them on. They were fighting each other. It was awesome to watch. Shaolin Kung Fu and its renowned Shaolin monks are famous all over the world. The man behind this phenomenon and the success of the Shaolin Temple is the Grand Monk, Abbot Shi Yongxin. This morning the Abbot was saying goodbye to his disciples and thanking them for their tireless efforts in their show. After that, we followed him through the rain to greet one of Russia's top religious figures, the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church. The two met and exchanged ideas about how religion can help rebuild and improve people's lives. And then they showed appreciation for one another by exchanging gifts. This is what the Abbot does. He travels the world promoting Shaolin Kung Fu and Shaolin culture. So I'm really excited. I just got to come visit the Shaolin Cultural Center here in Moscow. I met Master Shi Yongxin, who's been here in Russia teaching for about 7 years. Shi Yongxin teaches about 60 students per day and overall has about 600 students that he teaches here. Just got out of my first practice here in Moscow and it was really exciting. I felt really happy to be able to come all the way over here to Russia and train Shaolin Kung Fu with other people who have the same passion as I do. Master Shi Yongxin was kind enough to get his students together and put on a performance for us. I got to see Valerie do a really amazing drunken style Kung Fu. And I got to talk to him later on and I found out, according to doctors, he has a weak heart. But when he practices, he can feel his heart pumping strong and it makes him feel stronger. He's been training for 13 years. And one thing that really stuck with me that he said was that you can train anywhere.
Yeah, on subway, yeah. You can turn up one leg and stay one leg. Yes, it's a balance. You can take your hand and all this training.
Always training.
Yeah, always.
And then a group of girls came out. They performed some Tai Chi Chuan. And they performed some fan. When I was talking to Nadia, it was really interesting to me that her Qigong and Tai Chi training really help her out at work.
I have a very nervous work. I'm a business consultant at IBM company, and I have a lot of pressure. And now I can relax during a very tough negotiations and feel comfortable with all type of situations.
And I think that's a testament to Qigong and Tai Chi. It's good for anyone. Everyone who practices can find a benefit from it. So I got an opportunity to talk to Master Shi Yongxin. He's come from China to pass on what he's learned there, here in Russia. His students range from 3 to 73. He teaches both men and women. And one thing that really affected me was how, in combining the Chan Buddhism and the Kung Fu, he really feels like he's helping people here to have better lives and to improve their lives. And that's how he feels rewarded. He feels like he's passing on what's been passed on to him. That, to him, is the most important thing. After an 8-hour journey from Moscow, we've arrived on the second leg of our world tour. We are here at Shaolin Temple, the birthplace of Chan Buddhism and Chinese martial arts, a mecca for martial artists. I couldn't be more excited to be here. From the moment we set foot inside the temple, I felt like a kid in a candy shop. I couldn't wait to do some moves, throw some kicks, in the birthplace of Kung Fu. The first thing we did was head to the back of the temple, where we paid respects to Damo. Behind me is a stone carving of one of the most revered characters in Shaolin culture. This is Damo. He's credited with founding Chan Buddhism here in all of China. He came from India in the 4th or 5th century, and originally it said that he was not allowed to enter the Shaolin Temple. So he went up to a cave on top of the hill that overlooks the Shaolin Temple, and there he meditated for 9 long years. And it said he sat in one spot for so long that the sun coming into the cave actually kind of burned his outline on the back of the cave wall. When Damo was finally allowed to enter the Shaolin Temple, he was appalled at the shape the monks were in. So he thought, if they're going to take care of their minds so well, they also need to take care of their bodies. So not only is he credited for bringing Chan Buddhism to China, he's also credited for the birth of Kung Fu. As I was walking around the temple, I stumbled on a group of foreigners practicing. They were a group from an entirely different continent. They were from Cameroon, Africa. They've been here for about 2 years, and when I stumbled upon them, they were practicing chain whip, and they were being led by a monk. It was really cool to see a group from not US, not China, practicing so hard and loving Shaolin Kung Fu. A lot of people come here to Shaolin to film, but after meeting the Abbot in Russia, we were granted unprecedented access to the Shaolin Temple. Now I'm really excited to explore and discover every inch of this place. The Shaolin Temple as you see it today was rebuilt in 1974 on original sites based on temple records. Currently there are over 200 monks living here. This stone tablet was etched during 1565 by the son of the Ming Emperor at the time. Now the cool thing about this stone etching is it really shows Shaolin's inclusiveness of other religions. In the middle you have the founder of Buddhism, on one side you have the founder of Confucianism, and on the other side you have the founder of Taoism. They all share the same eyes, the same ears, the same nose, and the same mouth, which is something that's really deeply rooted in Chinese culture. This morning we started off by visiting the Shaolin Pharmacy. First, I had the opportunity to meet Master Shi Yongxin. He's the resident doctor here at Shaolin. Right now he's treating a patient who came in to see him suffering from some spinal issues. He wasn't able to move very well. So Shifu said that his meridians are blocked. He's using this apparatus that was invented here at the Shaolin Temple. As you can see, inside this box, there's some herbs burning, and it sort of heats up this device, penetrates the skin, and the point is to alleviate any dampness inside the body and help the patient to move better. I'm here in the area of the Shaolin Pharmacy where people come to fill their prescriptions. Now, as you can see behind me, there are hundreds of little drawers, and they're all filled with different kind of herbs. So someone will go get a treatment from the doctor, and then they'll come up here and they'll have their prescription filled. Now, Chinese medicine has been practiced at the Shaolin Temple for hundreds of years, up until the Qing dynasty, when due to warfare, it all stopped. But in 2004, the pharmacy was re-established, combining traditional Chinese medicine and modern medicine to better benefit people. This afternoon, we were granted special access to a certain part of the temple where tourists aren't allowed to go. Right across from the pharmacy, we had the chance to explore the Fine Art and Calligraphy Institute. Normally when I think of meditation, I think of sitting with my legs folded, but there they do calligraphy, which traditionally is considered like a high form of meditation. There I met Shifu Shi Yongxin, who is a master calligrapher. He started off using a big brush, and he drew the character for Chan Buddhism. It was intense to watch. When he used the big brush, his whole body got into the movement. And when he used the small brush, it was perfectly still, not one bit of movement. And it really was like watching him do his form of meditation. This right here is the Chinese character for Chan. And down below, there's a painting of Damo, the founder of Chan Buddhism and Shaolin Kung Fu. You can also see there's a poem down there on the one side, along with today's date and Shifu's name. The second calligrapher I met was Master Shi Yongxin. He wrote Chan Wu, Chan meaning Chan Buddhism, and Wu meaning Wushu, or martial art. The combination of these two represents perfectly Shaolin culture. Just outside of the Calligraphy and Fine Art Institute, there's another courtyard that's rarely seen by anybody. It's not open to the public. On the outer perimeter of the courtyard, there's these stone tablets, or steles, that date back hundreds of years. They're a collection of Shaolin history. And one of the steles I was looking at, it had what is now the Shaolin logo, that it's an abstract piece of artwork that represents a monk sitting and meditating, and there's a little flower that he's holding that represents the monk's smile. The Shaolin Temple has been on this site for over 1,500 years. Devaraja Hall is also known as the Hall of Heavenly Kings. Now, what I found interesting was that this was the original front entrance to the Shaolin Temple. When I walked through there, I imagined myself walking through the original gates of the Shaolin Temple. In the four corners, there are these giant kings, each said to represent a different direction: north, east, south, and west. They're placed there to watch over normal people to make sure that we're okay. There are 5 fundamentals that every Buddhist monk is bound by: no killing, no stealing, no lying, no drinking, and no sexual misconduct. This magnificent building is the bell tower here at Shaolin. It's been around for nearly 700 years. Now, it used to ring every morning, but now it's only sounded on special occasions. Across from the bell tower is the drum tower. Before, when they would ring the bell in the morning, they would hit the drum at night. The Mahavira Hall is one of the larger halls here at Shaolin. It's about 5 rooms wide and 4 rooms deep. Now, it goes by a lot of different names. The Hall of Buddha Trinity, 3 Centuries Buddha Hall, Blazed Hall, Mountainous Hall, Treasure Hall, Grand Hall. What I surmised from all the different names is that this hall is very important, which I later found out that it is. It's actually the home of all the Buddhist activities that take place here at the temple. We were filming this afternoon, and we were fortunate enough to witness the afternoon ritual from the Shaolin monks. They gonged a bell, and they all gathered in this hall and started their afternoon chanting. Something I've never experienced before. It was really beautiful to watch. When they're chanting Buddhist scripture. But the way they do it, it's like this amazing harmony that grows in the room, and there's not many instruments, maybe a little bell or a drum, but other than that, you just kind of feel like you're in this big ball of energy. It was a really amazing thing to experience. The Scripture Hall is right behind Mahavira Hall. Traditionally, it's the place where Buddhist scripts and texts were stored. Now it's under construction and home to a 16-ton sleeping white jade Buddha. The Li Shui Pavilion is the second to last pavilion here at Shaolin, and that, along with the Thousand Buddha Hall, were 2 that were not burned down in 1928. Over the long history of Shaolin Temple, it's been ransacked, burned down multiple times. And a lot of the buildings that we see here, even though they're built on original sites, were built at later dates. The Li Shui Pavilion is the original building. It's been renovated many times, but it's never been completely burnt down. It's also a pavilion solely dedicated to Damo, the founder of Kung Fu. The last and largest hall here is the Thousand Buddha Hall. This hall is by far my favorite, and for a few reasons. When you first walk in, there's this giant copper cast Buddha entrenched in a wooden stand that was built in the 1400s. After you walk past the Buddha, you notice the cobblestone floor. Now, the cobblestone floor for a Kung Fu nerd is what you come to the Shaolin Temple for. This cobblestone floor is centuries old. Now, it's said that the dents were made from years and years of the monks' practice. Something like this. Oh, I think it just made it deeper. When you look up, the walls are covered with paintings. There's 500 arhats painted on the walls, all of which can still be made out except for 5. So 495 of them can still be seen with complete detail. Super early this morning, we came to the temple. We met a small group of young monks at the Thousand Buddha Hall who were awesome enough to do a performance for us. They were demonstrating all the different famous animal forms of Shaolin. There was snake, saw duck, which is becoming one of my favorites. It's just such a quirky type of Kung Fu. There was a really young monk who was performing the child's Kung Fu. You have to be really flexible to do it. In his last move, he kicked his leg up and it went behind his head. I don't know what exactly you have to stretch in order to be able to do that, but I haven't been stretching it. There was a young monk who was doing eagle claw. His name is Yan Shou. After they were done performing, he taught me a portion of a Shaolin eagle claw form. It was a really awesome experience. I've been practicing Kung Fu for a long time. Next year will be my 20th year practicing. And I was fortunate enough to train under a great teacher, Sifu John Yi, who about a year and a half, 2 years ago, passed away. I wanted to take some time here at the Shaolin Temple to honor him and just remember everything that he's passed on to me. And he was really excited the first time I got to come visit here. So I knew, because I could come back, that he would be very proud. And I wanted to light some incense in his honor and just take a second amongst all the amazing things that I'm getting to see to remember and to let him know how grateful I am. Today I had some time to explore the Pagoda Forest, which is the ancient burial ground for the Shaolin Temple. The Pagoda Forest is considered sacred ground. It's a place people can come and show respect to the monks who have passed and also show them gratitude for their contributions to Shaolin culture. Two things really stood out to me when I first came here. One was the location. The Pagoda Forest is just southwest of the Shaolin Temple, and it sits below the Shaoxi Mountains. Anywhere you look in here, it's just this beautiful landscape. One angle in particular, when you look up over the pagodas, there's just beautiful layers of mountains that just really paint this beautiful, picturesque view. The other thing that stood out was the size of the Pagoda Forest. There are 248 pagodas here, spanning over 5 acres, which is the largest collection in all of China. Walking around, there is a lot to see. In terms of significance for the Shaolin Temple, the Pagoda Forest is chock full. Everything from the architecture to the calligraphy used on the signs on each of the pagodas all document what was going on at the Shaolin Temple during different periods. And the other thing that's fascinating is every pagoda varies in size. What determines the size is how honorable or how virtuous the Buddhist monk that was buried there was. These ancient pagodas normally have 4 different parts. The bottom section is the pagoda base. The pagoda body, which is where all the tiers are. The very tip top is the pagoda temple. Underneath ground, where the bodies are buried, is known as the pagoda palace. In the main part of the pagoda, it'll have a different number of tiers, and the tiers can range from 1 to 7, but it'll always be an odd number, so 1, 3, 5, or 7. One of the tallest pagodas here is about 50 feet high. The juxtaposition between the serenity of this place and their intensity really accentuated their power and how strong these guys are. They were swinging everything from broadswords, staffs, chain whips, bull whips, the tiger hook swords. They had a vast array of weaponry. It was awesome to watch. One thing that really impressed me about the monks' performance today was there was a group performance, and all the monks were completely in sync, powerful in the same way. and they moved as one. It was almost like a small army. It was really impressive to watch them working together as one. During the performance, one of the monks caught my attention. I found out later his name is Shifu Liaowen-chen. And I asked if I could learn something from him, and he was more than gracious. He taught me Rensho Tongbi, a traditional Shaolin form. The reason I love this form is it's different than the animal forms. Sometimes Shaolin Kung Fu, especially nowadays, can be seen more as performance, but these traditional forms are really the heart of Shaolin, and it was nice to take a moment to learn. It's really hard for me to watch a performance like I watched today and not get really excited. They've literally been in the temple since they were kids. And I've been doing Kung Fu since I was 11, and I'm a Kung Fu nerd at heart, and I would tell anybody that I eat, sleep, live, breathe Kung Fu. When I see it, I want to do it. Sometimes when I'm not even thinking about it, I'm doing it. Getting an opportunity to work with these guys who also have the same passion and who have been here doing it for so long means so much to me. Today started before sunrise. I was fortunate enough to take part in the monks' morning ritual. All the monks gathered in the Mahavira Hall at 5 a.m., getting ready for class. As soon as the abbot arrived, class began. It kicked off with the abbot bowing in the center to the Buddhas, and everybody started chanting. The beautiful part about this class in the morning is the sun's not even up, so it's completely pitch black, and the entire temple is lit by candles. It was that paired with the chanting was beautiful to experience and to watch. The class lasted about 45 minutes. It was just long enough that when we stepped outside of Mahavira Hall, dawn had broke. This afternoon was the first time since Russia that I had an opportunity to spend some time with the abbot. The abbot and I walked to the drum tower. Inside on the bottom floor is one of the Shaolin Temple's newest undertakings. There is this gigantic prayer wheel that they're building. The wood carvings on the prayer wheel are beautiful. They're all hand carved, and you could tell that the craftsmanship is the highest quality. There were some workers in there working on it while we were looking at it, and they were putting lacquer on it, and they were saying that each small section each gets 6 coats of lacquer. The beautiful thing about this prayer wheel is that the abbot intends to have 10,000 people from across the world all write Buddhist scripture. The squares that you see are going to be drawers, and all the scripture is going to go in. And so that wheel will be something that's created by people across the world, all coming together for this one purpose. And the thing I could tell he was the most proud about was the fact that this prayer wheel would last for generations, almost a gift for years to come. Then as I continued up to the very top of the drum tower, I saw this massive drum. Now my first thought was, that has to have been one big cow. My second thought was, I wonder if I can hit this thing. My third thought was, why don't I just enjoy the view? So I opened the windows, and again, it was this beautiful view overlooking the entire temple. And it was a nice moment to just take it all in, take a deep breath, let the wind hit my face, and enjoy where I'm so fortunate enough to be. Today I had some time to spend with the abbot in the abbot's room here at the temple, and here's what I learned. Tell us about your childhood in Anhui and how you came to Shaolin and eventually became abbot.
30年前，我是从安徽一个农村，走到少林寺的。
He told me he came to the Shaolin Temple 30 years ago from a small village in the Anhui province. He came because he heard how famous the Shaolin Temple was. What is Chan Buddhism?
禅理，它是一种生活方式。
He explained that Chan is a combination of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. And it's not only important to Chinese culture, but Asian culture as a whole. He described Shaolin Kung Fu as a vast and well-respected martial arts system that's over 1,500 years old.
少林寺也，在中国改革开放。
He said that the past 30 years has been one of the best times for the Shaolin Temple because of China's open door policy. It's been a great time for the Shaolin Temple to rebuild, protect, and preserve its Shaolin culture. He predicted the next 20 years to be a great time for Shaolin because the progress China has made is going to provide a lot of opportunities. Even though he has a really busy schedule and then he works tirelessly every day, he tries to live in the present and do things one at a time. Why do you set up Shaolin cultural centers across the world?
因为少林文化，它是建立在少林。
He explained that Chan culture is a product of cultural exchange and that it belongs to people of the world. They've been invited to different cities and environments to set up these cultural centers. There are over 100 different cultural centers in cities across the world. When was the name Shaolin trademarked and why?
因为经济的全球化，对我们传统的。
He explained that the growth of the world economy has impacted culture all over the world, and that the name Shaolin was being used without a clear identity. So about 10 years ago, he used the legal system to trademark the name Shaolin in different parts of the world, so that they could provide true Shaolin culture and spirit to the world. How do you feel about being referred to as the Kung Fu CEO?
CEO 不应该是个贬义词。
He said that CEO is normally a term that's used in business, and even though people hold it in high regard, that it's not appropriate for a monk. Although, he doesn't really mind it.
磕头面着山在苦，死在那巴南面结束。只要那行善把事做，老祖那关内无在。
This amazing set of stairs marks the halfway point on the journey up to Damo's cave. Now the monks used to run from the Shaolin Temple all the way up these stairs, and then they would walk back down on their hands and feet. It looks something like this. Did I mention that the journey's 2.5 miles? Yeah. I'm ready for lunch. After a 2.5 mile hike from the Shaolin Temple up the Song Mountains, I've arrived at Damo's cave, the location where Damo traveled into the mountains to meditate for 9 years. It was there he created Chan Buddhism, also known as Zen Buddhism. Damo's cave is about 10 feet wide and 22 feet deep, which is a really small area to be in for 9 years. Damo needed a way to stay in shape while he was in here meditating for so long. So he created certain movements, and those movements later became early forms of Shaolin Kung Fu. One good thing about the walk from the Shaolin Temple up to Damo's cave was it was an awesome opportunity for me to bond with the monks. And there they performed for us, and I got to perform with them. After the monks performed, Yan Luo, the one who did the two-finger handstand, exchanged email addresses with me, and he said, once we exchange an email, we will be friends. The relationship will begin. And that was really touching. It's cool to be able to, despite language barriers, be able to bond with these guys over the same passion and love that we have, which is Kung Fu.
Goodbye.
This morning we took a gondola up to the peak of the Song Mountains. The scenery here is just gorgeous. When we got to the top, I didn't really expect what was on the other side. We walked down a small flight of stairs, and then all of a sudden it just opened up, and there was this beautiful rock formation cliffside. These cliffs were massive. I'm standing in one of the most breathtakingly beautiful landscapes I've ever seen. I'm high above the Shaolin Temple in the Song Mountains, and this is the Cliff of Books. These huge rocks are white quartz sandstone. Today I had another chance to practice with the monks. And a lot of people think that Shaolin Kung Fu is really flowery and it's all for performance and, oh, you wouldn't use those weapons in modern day times and all this stuff. And there is some validity to that. These guys do have a stage show here that they perform for tourists after tourists. And I think they exaggerate a lot of the forms that they do, and I think a lot of it's catered more towards performance. But I've gotten to spend a lot of time with these guys. From seeing them move up close, I can tell that their martial arts skill is real. Whether or not they're using a weapon you wouldn't use nowadays, it doesn't matter. Their skill is there, they're strong. Kung Fu has a long history here in China. During the Cultural Revolution back in the 70s, Shaolin Kung Fu was outlawed. A lot of the monks left the temple. Shortly after that, the government realized they were losing a treasured part of Chinese culture. So they invited some of the monks back and created a standardized martial art known as Wushu. To the untrained eye, Wushu is very similar to traditional Kung Fu. The difference comes where traditional Kung Fu focuses on the mind and body connection. Wushu focuses on the aesthetics and the perfection of techniques. When you watch a Wushu routine, it's very similar to a gymnastics floor routine. These guys are in amazing shape, their technique is perfect, but the focus is just a little bit different. They're focusing on the aesthetics, and the traditional martial artist is focusing on the mind and the body working together as one. This morning, the Abbot gave us access to a room that normally people are not allowed to see. 8 years ago, I learned that the Chan meditation room is only reserved for the highest ranking monks. They all come there after breakfast and they walk in a circle around a statue of Damo. The reason they walk in a circle is because it helps digestion. During my last visit, I only observed. This time, one of the monks invited me to take part and walk in a circle with the other monks. The first thing I noticed, which I hadn't noticed when I was standing on the side, is that the floor where they walk in the circle is worn down. And I thought, how many hundreds of times, day after day, these guys do the same process over and over again. And it's all because they're dedicated to Chan Buddhism. I was walking, someone hit a bell or clacked some wood, and everyone sped up. And so I sped up too. And then a couple minutes later, they hit it again. And I was thinking, logically, that if they hit it again, that means we have to go faster. I thought we were about to be sprinting around the statue, but I was wrong. That means stop exactly where you are. But after that, the monks go and they sit down on their meditation areas and they fold their legs in the lotus position and tuck their robes underneath, and they get prepared to sit there for several hours and meditate. This afternoon, I had another extremely special opportunity to learn from two great masters here at Shaolin, Sifu Shi Yongxin and Shi Yongxin. Now, these guys are the pinnacle of Shaolin Kung Fu. They are what all the monks strive to be. So not only did I get a chance to learn from them, I also got a chance to watch them perform. When Master Shi Yongxin performed the 18 Damo hands, you could tell the emphasis in that form was on the dantian, which is the area right below your belly button. That's where qi, where your internal energy is created. There's a part at the beginning where you, it's coming from your internal power, coming from your dantian. The way he would hit and strike, it was all coming from, it's also known as your center, so it was all coming from his center. And his whole body would move. It was really, really amazing to watch. During Master Shi Yongxin's form, soft hands, the emphasis was a little bit different. It was not on, boom, super powerful movements. It was on the soft, controlled, connecting your breath with your movements, and then when the time is right, boom, exploding. The amazing thing watching him is how his power is connected from the floor up to the dantian and then into his hands. So no matter where he moves, the power is coming through his entire body. It was a beautiful display of martial arts. Today's our last day here at Shaolin, and it's incredibly bittersweet. There's a saying, the mind will take you far, the rest is your heart. After these 2 weeks here at the Shaolin Temple, my heart is full. With everything I've gotten to see and experience, I'm so thankful. But I'm equally as excited for the next part of our journey. We're headed to the United States, my home. I'll see you there. Our world tour following the Shaolin monks has brought us all the way to Cambridge, Massachusetts, to the home of the Ivy League campus, Harvard University. In today's conflicted world, it's never been more important to have an understanding of other cultures and other religions so that we can find a place of peace. The Grand Monk Shi Yongxin travels the world tirelessly, learning about other cultures while spreading Buddhism and Shaolin culture. The Abbot was a part of a panel discussion here in the Memorial Church on the Harvard campus, and it was about spiritual discipline in Buddhism. A couple of things that I took away from this lecture was, one of the things he said over and over was commitment, compassion, wisdom, and courage. And those are what rise up in you when you not only practice Kung Fu, but Buddhism, and when you practice them together. And that's the fundamental of Shaolin culture. At the end of the panel, the abbot was asked a question about the importance of interacting with other religions and having an open dialogue with them to promote peace in the world. He said that he's visited the Pope in the Vatican, he's visited the Patriarch in Russia, where we just were. He was telling us that that dialogue was already underway. Through his travels across the world, he is experiencing this right now, and the dialogue is open, and it's already leading to more peace and understanding between cultures. Another talking point the abbot had was about Kung Fu and Shaolin. You have this mind and body practice, but where does the spiritual come in? He talked a little bit about how when you become a true martial artist, when you practice hard over and over again, working on your mind and body, it makes you a better person. When someone's a well-trained martial artist, you don't see them going around beating up people. If they have, and if you do see that, you're not seeing someone who's really done the training. That's where the spiritual side comes in. When we came out of the church, we stumbled upon a group of Tai Chi practitioners. Two of the Shaolin monks teach them some of the Ba Duan Jin. They were eager to learn, and they were also very honored that the monks came and taught them. I'm at the United Nations building in New York City, where for the first time, Abbot Shi Yongxin is leading a delegation of monks here to perform. The performance tonight at the UN was amazing. Now I know from traveling with the monks that they're jet lagged, they're not really eating as well as they normally do, and they're tired. But when they got on stage tonight, you could tell that the pride that they have for Shaolin is what drove them.
Today we host this ceremony to introduce the Shaolin Temple to the United Nations. Tonight happens to mark the first time the Shaolin Temple has made an appearance here at the United Nations.
Wendy Williams, who has her own talk show in over 52 countries, was here tonight and she was hosting, so that was really cool. And there was also a lot of international delegates in attendance. Shaolin culture stands for bridging the gap between countries, between religions, between cultures, and the UN is the perfect platform for that. And it was really amazing to be here to see them performing for everyone. Our world tour following the Shaolin monks has brought us to our final destination, my hometown, Los Angeles, California. I'm here at the Shaolin Cultural Center in East Los Angeles. It was established in 2008 by 7 monks from the Shaolin Temple and is home to over 400 students. Today the monks were giving a seminar for local students to come and to learn some Shaolin Kung Fu. There was a section for students. They were learning the Ba Duan Jin, which is one of the early forms that Damo brought to the temple. It's really good for exercising. It's a lot slower. It's not so rigorous. It's more for overall health. It's very similar to Qigong. The Shaolin Cultural Center hosts master classes where teachers from other schools can come and learn authentic Shaolin, then take it back to their schools and pass it on to their students. But they were doing a little bit more of the hard style Shaolin, more of the learning the application of the movement. So they would learn a part of a form and they would learn how to apply that on their partner. So they were working in groups. At today's master class, there was 17 students from all different parts of the US and Canada. The city of Los Angeles is a melting pot for all kinds of different cultures. And the abbot is really smart and he knew that. And that's why he set up the Shaolin Cultural Center here so that he could be ensured that traditional, authentic Shaolin Kung Fu could be spread in such a culturally diverse area. Today there was a competition at the Los Angeles Convention Center, and let me say, it was an amazing turnout. I'm here at the LA Convention Center where the tournament portion of the Shaolin Cultural Festival is about to kick off. There were over 3,000 people in attendance. 1,000 of those were competitors. I'm here at the front of house control booth overlooking the competition floor, where simultaneously in 12 different rings, competitors are showing their best. This event was attended by people from all over the world. The Canadian Shaolin Culture Center was there. There were people from all over the US. I even met a gentleman from Brazil. The amazing thing too is that they were all there for one reason, and that is Shaolin Kung Fu. It didn't matter their religion, their ethnicity. Shaolin brought everyone together. We saw traditional Shaolin, long weapons, short weapons, group forms, and Tai Chi. We had a chance to talk to a few of the competitors.
Kung Fu is like an art. Taekwondo is a sport because it's in the Olympics.
So far I've benefited from Kung Fu by getting competitive again in a sport and having something to do in my more mature adult life, so I've benefited a lot from it.
One day when I grow up, I'm going to go to the Shaolin Temple and train.
I wanted to learn to fight when I was younger, but then I started to do Kung Fu and I found out that it's more than about fighting, it's about peace and meditation and spirit.
The performance really showcased all the monks' skills. We also got to see some Qigong. One of the monks did a handstand on 2 fingers. They did some fight scenes, which were really exciting to watch. Shifu Zhuang came out in the middle, and then there was about 20 monks circling them and surrounding them, and they told the story about a group coming to attack Shaolin, and these 3 monks had to protect their teacher. I haven't, up until this point, seen the monks put this much energy into a performance. And it was just really awesome to see Shaolin displayed in such a theatrical way.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you say? I think they deserve a standing ovation. What do you say?
I hope that on our world tour you found something to love about Shaolin. As the Abbot put it, Shaolin belongs to the world. And no matter how the world changes, Shaolin will always be Shaolin. Goodbye for now.